Welcome into Extra Butter, the inaugural episode of Three Guys with Zero Credentials, picking a movie, watching a movie, and breaking down a movie. From everywhere from critically acclaimed movies to cult classics and every category in between, we've identified categories as we see that we will decide from and watch. We've gotten all of our movies from IMDb Top 100. That is a moving list, so they might not all still be on there, but at one point in time, these were the top 100 movies, or rated a top 100 movie in the history. The first one that we are going to be diving into today for our first episode is going to be Before Sunrise, a 1995 film that we categorized in the drama romance category. It is the first movie of a three-movie series that we kicked off here. And to start us off and kind of get a general idea to the listeners out there what this movie is all about, Trav's going to read the quick paragraph review of it, and then we'll get right into it. So, Trav, I don't know if you've got that ready to roll, but I'll pass it over to you.
Here we go. On his way to Vienna, American Jesse, played by Ethan Hawke, meets Celine, Julie Delpy, student returning to Paris. After long conversations forge a surprising connection between them, Jesse convinces Celine to go off the train with him in Vienna, since his flight to the U.S. departs the next morning, and he has no money for lodging. They wander to the city together, taking in the experiences of Vienna and each other. As the night progresses, their bond makes separating in the morning a difficult choice.
Nailed it.
I will say this movie did get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I do see that as 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Geese, if you want to give your first thoughts on the movie.
I'll tell you what, I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm not a huge romance drama type of viewer, and, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie start to finish.
Yeah, I kind of like the 1990s-esque intro. Like, it's kind of grainy on the train. I dig that.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because the first thing when I was watching it, initially I was trying to think of if this movie was going to grab me, like a good intro to a movie that catches you. And when it started and it was just rolling like shots of Europe and like a classical or whatever old school song and just running the credits of who's in it, like you forget movies. That's how they used to be. Now, like, we get, like some action scene or some kind of initial start to a movie before they show the title and then they run through the credits a little bit. Like, it gave me a good classic feel of like, okay, this is what movies used to be like.
I watched this on my phone and I was looking at it, and the first scene, first people talking in German. I was like, okay, however this came up on our list, is this a German movie that we completely forgot about? So then I tossed out the subtitles, and it was just the fact that they were talking German.
I'm a slut for the moving intros of the train tracks and everything. I was like, I was instantly captured.
Yeah, it like made me kind of laugh just because I forget. Like I'm waiting for the grab you moment. I'm like laughing, thinking like that just wasn't a thing, when back in this time. But Trav, to your point too, I also wrote down like when they were speaking German, right off the rip, I thought like, did I rent like the wrong movie? I thought I just totally screwed up and just bought it in a different language, and I'm like, oh great, just spent money to watch this movie and bought it in a different language. So I was definitely thrown off by that as well.
Cool transition, like right into their characters, because I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be her for the first. You know how movies go. It's gonna be her for the first 15 minutes, and then she meets him. No, walks the back of the train. Boom, he's right there. Kick it off. You already know that they're gonna be a thing,
Yeah. Again, not to just literally echo everything you're saying, but it really cut out a lot of the BS that comes with romance and drama movies. I think anybody in their right mind is going to probably look to move on a train if there's people yelling at each other in a different language next to you. So that was a pretty easy way to kick that off, but they did definitely dive right into it. And another thing just overall about the movie is like it really was a two-person story. There wasn't a whole lot else going on. There's a couple cameos.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple cameos from like random people throughout the city, but there wasn't any other characters. It was just the two of them.
How about we talk about our favorite little cameos? I really, really was hoping that they'd meet up with the German guys at the play, and we watched a little bit of the cow play, but
I thought it was hilarious about how it was this super out of pocket play, and they're like, throughout the whole movie, I'm like, when are they getting to this fucking play?
I was thinking the same thing.
And then they addressed it at the very end. They're like, oh yeah, we forgot. I was like, that just classic. Just
I was waiting to. I had the cow play like because he said he was gonna be smoking through his hooves. And like of course he's trying to gas himself up for being an actor, and the guy's like he's the cow, and the guy in the cow costume. When they mentioned not making it to the play, I didn't forget about it. I just assumed they weren't gonna go. But every time they'd cut scenes throughout the night, because I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but it seemed like the day was gone pretty quick, and it was nighttime essentially the entire movie.
Right.
But they kept going to like the club or laying down in the grass or they're in an alley or they're by the river, and they kept cutting scenes. So I was like just waiting for them to be in like a theater. And
I wrote down that it was the longest first date ever. Like normally you'd pick just go to the pub or just go to dinner that once. I mean, they went to like what 3 different spots where they could have eaten, and like they did the hand reader. They did what else? The pub.
The hand reader.
Yeah,
They walked.
and all they did was pound wine. That's how it's done.
They should have been wasted.
Yeah, I mean I agree but disagree. Like they got off on a train in a city that he had never been to. I think she had. I don't know if I would say
she definitely had because of
the they had nowhere to go.
This is true. No, I'm just saying like the style of it. Like they kept doing first date-esque things, which is cool.
Right.
Yeah. I will say overall, I think it shows just how reduced movies are, especially like this genre nowadays, because I was just kept expecting some stereotypical BS to happen within the movie, and it never happened, and I was just really thankful for it.
Yeah, I caught myself thinking like, how movies go right now. You're like, okay, well, yeah, what's going to happen now? Are they going to get split up and upset or whatever? But now, here's a good example. Like, who would you guys cast in this movie? I was immediately thinking like a Blake Lively type character, and then, God, you got to have who's the typical dude you're looking at now in movies?
Well, it's tough. I would disagree with Blake because she's old, like not old, but like older.
I guess style.
I think Chalamet is the guy right now. I don't know if he's the guy for this movie, but
him and Sydney Sweeney would be your stereotypical.
There you go.
Something like that, yeah.
Because what's the one she's in with? It's not Just Go With It, but she just had one come out where they are with like other people. It is another romance, exactly what we're talking about, and those are just very stereotypical characters.
Well, and I agree too. Like, I would say most of the newer movies within this genre for me. Not that I watch all of them, but I've seen a handful, and like there was never that predictable moment in this movie.
Yeah,
like it just kind of flowed. It was the day, the night. Like there was no predictable like you said. Oh, they split up and then they get back together at the end. Like they just had the night. Like it went on and there was nothing to predict. It was just kind of you're along for the ride.
I was waiting for the conflict, and I thought at the palm reader we were gonna get it, and
we almost did.
And it just shows like didn't affect anything. And it just meant that like two people kind of push and pulling with each other on worldviews, on how they see things, and so it's like that movie lacked what we typically would expect in today's movies, like the script, the outline. Right. I thought it was a nice touch.
I think putting yourself in these people's shoes in the movie too, like if you hopped in being what's his name in the movie?
Jesse.
It's
James, but Jesse's kind of
Jesse
weird.
James. If you hopped in his shoes in 2025 and you're on that train, normal person would be on his phone with headphones. She would have done the same thing. Never would have met. So like back in the 90s when it came out, that's probably more realistic to think could happen. Now, no chance.
Yeah, the way that they would frame this movie now, like they definitely wouldn't have met like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I thought I don't want
to move on from this palm reader yet. What a crock of shit that is! Like a palm reader walking around. There's people sitting outside like a bakery or whatever the hell that place was, like having a bite or a drink or whatever it is, and this chick is walking around trying to read palms and charging you $50 for it. Like I agree with kind of what he was saying about like how it's all bullshit. The way that I looked at the two of them was kind of a one half full, one half empty type of people relationship.
Oh, male versus female thoughts,
That too, but like just the palm reader in general, like just what a crock of shit that type of thing is. Like, yeah, you pay them $50, they're gonna tell you what you want to hear. No
Well,
shit,
right.
It's
like
exactly what she wanted to hear.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
it's everything that you would see from a foreigner, for someone you didn't know. Oh, this super white bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh, you're a traveler. Like, yeah, no shit, you know?
Right.
And so I was in agreement with Jesse in that entire exchange.
But you got
I
a
mean,
female counterpart that probably was like, "Oh
Just
my
ate that
gosh,
shit up. Just
she was so
astrology, palm
right. It's
reader.
perfect."
You know, you could have told him they
I
would
thought
eventually
when
get married, and she'd be all about it.
I thought when he said like, it's like reading your daily horoscope or whatever, and which I agree with what you're saying. Like, yeah, dude, they're gonna tell you you're paying them money. You're not gonna get like a bad fortune, which I thought was funny. He mentioned later. I wish one of these times those people would just tell you, your time's coming to an end. Like just something
Right.
bad. You're never gonna get that,
Right.
but. Like I don't know, $50 for that is just insane. And you're not asking for it. Like she's
Yeah.
approaching you
Was that
about doing it. So
was that 50 US?
No,
they
it
said
was
50
50.
shillings, which another side
Yeah,
note, shillings, awesome word for money.
I agree.
Felt like everything was expensive, but a lot of things were 50 shillings because that was $50. So was getting in the club was 50 a piece. So like I don't think
I'm
they
gonna
got
look
real
it
creative
up.
with the numbers
I'm
here.
looking it up right now. 50 shillings is 39 cents in US money.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
hang
So
on.
they're fine.
Well, that says Kenyan. They're in Vienna.
Yeah, Vienna, Austria, right?
Yeah, that's where they were.
Even worse. 0.075 cents on the dollar.
$50. Okay, so they were.
And that's March 2025. So back then, fuck, dude, that probably cost them what, a couple bucks less
Do you
than.
think? Do you think they paid the poem guy more or less?
Oh,
So
here's
the poem guy was another. That was another
Poem
talking
guy
point that
deserves
I.
more.
Well, here's my thought on the poem guy. Maybe I didn't really understand the poem guy that well. I thought that whole part
Oh,
was kind of
okay.
odd. But
One
are you
dollar,
still talking?
13.25 shillings. So $5
Okay,
in
so they weren't getting robbed
2025. No,
blind.
yeah, I would do that if I was on vacation, or here's
To get
spare
into the
change.
club, but not the fucking palm reader. I'm not paying the palm reader anything. Turn around and go find another table. We're not doing the
All
palm
right,
reader.
but hindsight, like we're talking, I would rather pay the poem guy. You
Yeah,
know,
that
Yeah,
he
so
kind of did the
the
same
poem
thing.
guy. Let's talk about the poem guy. I didn't. I was gonna say I didn't necessarily understand that part, but I think at the end of the day, it was legitimately just going through the night in the lives of these two people. So they're gonna show everything. How nice would
Right.
it be if that was like, and like that's how people were if they were like, homeless people. Like they're not gonna just come ask you for money. Like, hey, look,
Yeah,
you
they're
give me a
fucking after
word, I'm
her.
gonna write you a poem. You give me what you think I deserve after you get. If it gives anything to you in life, like I'm not begging you for money, but here, let me do something. Let me provide a service. And then if you deem necessary to give me some cash, like let's roll.
yeah.
But not just begging. Like that was an interesting concept to see. Of that's not a normal. I've never had that happen to me.
That's long gone.
But I would be more inclined to give somebody money if that was how they approached it than just begging you for money. Not to bring up that homeless culture, but that was
Well,
I thought that
it's
was
the
a
same
unique
thing,
way for like he said like a Vienna, like it was an
right?
interesting way to kind of approach being like a quote unquote homeless person within that movie.
Jesse approached the palm reader and the poem guy in the same kind of realm. Like he kind of called BS on both of them, and she ate it up. Which most of the movie was like man thought versus woman thought, and I don't know. I thought he was super philosophical, a little too much, and
What
then she was just kind of like whimsy with a lot of shit, but also pretty direct.
I think the poem guy was a mirror to the palm reader. The palm
Right.
reader was right up her alley, and the poem guy is more, what's the word, like more real, where that's something he relates to directly. She's kind of always pushing the pace with yeah, let's do this, yeah, let's do that, and it was like, oh yeah, let's hear your poem, but it's an actual like substantial thing you can receive, and it's not bullshit, which is what he was against. So at the end of the day, I think it was just showing mirrors of their two personalities.
Right.
Yeah. I thought the one liner he had too within that exchange with the poem guy when he's like, "You guys give me a word, I'll write a poem, etc. Like we talked about. If it gives you anything or any value in life, feel free to give me what you think I deserve. And he asked for one word, and she said milkshake. And
I did the same thing.
I was gonna go with rooster prick, but I guess milkshake works fine. That was a good shot.
Yeah,
that was a
very
good.
witty.
That was a good shot.
Very witty.
Is milkshake one word?
Yeah.
And because
so.
I had the subtitles on and they showed 2 words, so I was.
Dude, I thought this. I also did.
That
You
is
guys
so
watch on?
weird, Alex. That is
Did
so
you guys watch on
weird.
Prime?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't. I watched on Daily Motion for free. So.
Oh, thanks for the heads up on that one, prick.
Yeah.
I think I paid $1.50 for it.
I
think he owes us.
I had someone else's account logged on my iPad, and I didn't want to charge it, so I was like, it has to be free somewhere. It's $19.95.
Subtitles on Prime were just ass in general. Like the
Yeah, I agree.
I had subtitles on pretty much on everything nowadays. I don't necessarily read them, but they
We're
are
getting old.
nice to have there.
I can't hear without my subtitles, you know.
Yeah, right. But they were like the punctuation was like a space behind connected to the next letter, the next word. They're terrible. So I didn't rely on them too much. But
that's definitely Amazon.
I think that's just Prime that does that.
Yeah,
it was
garbage.
definitely it was terrible. Ass.
But going to the subtitles, something that they didn't do back then and they do today. The Germans not having subtitles pissed me the fuck off.
Yeah, I wanted to know what they were saying for sure.
Like there was something
that was the only reason I knew I was watching the right movie, because there wasn't subtitles. But like, if you're gonna add a foreign language in a movie, like at least let us know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
it's just
been really nice to know.
Completely irrelevant if you don't speak that language. Now, granted, I guess like for him, like we were basically the same as him.
Right.
Like, he didn't know what the fuck they were saying, so we didn't either.
And it didn't matter.
I mean, it was relatable in that sense. No.
You know, like it was.
It just kind of showed.
It's a foreign language. They're talking, and you could tell just because German language is very we'll say direct and rough and loud.
Angry.
Where you just know they're talking, especially on the beginning of the train. He definitely pissed her off, and they're going at it, and that's all you need to know.
What do you think they did when they went in the back car? You think they got after it a little bit or what?
Oh, he definitely roughed her up.
Their shirts were a little.
Are you talking about the Germans on the train at the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where'd they go? I don't know. You can't just have a shouting match and just walk off.
I think they did a little more than shouting.
Off the train.
They came back.
I don't know. He might have thrown her off the train. Oh, they did.
They came back.
They came back and picked up where they left off.
Their shirts were a little ruffled though.
Train though, like how about like I wrote down shoot or shoot. When the train stops in Vienna and he leaves and comes back and he's like, all right, fuck it. Like here's the deal.
Nobody has the balls to do that these days.
No, I was at like that is a shoot or shoot moment, like to a T. What do you got to lose? You're leaving. Yeah. You're going back to the United States the next day.
And it worked.
I would not have been surprised, you guys, if at the end of the movie it like showed him like back on the train daydreaming that he did that, but he didn't.
Oh, like a little, like it didn't never none of it ever happened type shit.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the ending. I was expecting some bullshit where it's like, oh, I'll just come with you, or let's not leave and stay another, just some type of, again, stereotypical nowadays movie ending. And the fact it was just an open ending, I know there's sequels and everything, but the fact it was open ending, I was really happy with.
I was cool with it.
Can you imagine though, like, obviously we're watching this movie in 2025. That movie came out 20 years ago, or
30 years ago.
And like, yeah, we know that there's sequels, but like, could you imagine watching that movie and that's how it ended? I was like, I literally audibly said, "Wow, that's it." But it makes sense with the way the movie flowed and like what it was and like what we were watching. It made sense to end that way, but like nothing. They just go their separate ways, and there we are. It's like there wasn't much to it.
But it made me want to watch the sequel. Like, do they show up in 6 months? I know,
but you wouldn't have known in '95.
No, you're right. Like, you just be like,
that's like, fuck, dude.
What did I get out of it at the end?
Ended.
But that's the whole thing where it's the relationship in the now. It's fleeting. The whole movie kind of reinforces that any one of those decisions throughout the entire film could have just been, all right, see you later. And, they progress through and like, learn more and more about each other.
I think my favorite part was the little fake phone call she did in the booth.
Yes, love that.
Dude, I wrote. We watched the same movie, obviously, but we took the same notes because I put down like the fake phone scene was the best scene in the movie.
100%. I think they both nailed it.
Incredible scene, and I don't think any scene on that point, like none of the scenes, like they ran their course and then they moved on. Like it didn't feel like anything was too long, too short. Like you
Right.
got a full conversation or you got a full like atmosphere of what the hell was going on, and then they just kind of moved into something new. And the phone scene though was definitely my number one. Another thing I thought was funny was when he well, they were walking outside, I don't know, but he like turned around and was like, oh, or it was basically when she was saying how him and his ex-girlfriend, somebody mentioned something about her like fat ass, whatever it is. And
get
she
in a
turned around
fight?
and was like, yeah, and she turned around and was like, fuck you, dickheads. And like there was a guy behind him when he said it. I'm like, what do you think that guy was thinking? Like that type of thing happens in real life where you're telling a story to somebody and you say something, you maybe look or point the wrong way and you're like, fuck you, dickheads. And you're just some guy's catching a stray in the middle of Vienna unintentionally.
Yeah, doesn't
just
speak English.
I was just gonna say
No.
it probably doesn't speak English, so you're good.
No clue what's going on. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Overall, I think acting was good. I enjoyed that it's just two main people. It's one-on-one, full conversation.
Yeah.
I think
I think
she was better
Oh,
and he
100%.
was worse. But
You
he held it together.
she was better?
I think she was more authentic, I'll say.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Did you believe that could happen? Like when you're watching this movie, do you think like
If I
like
thought back to
Not now.
1995, 1995, 100%. I think a lot of relationships started that way because there was no phone, there was nothing to entertain you. They both have a book. I 100% believe that interaction, that entire movie could have happened back in 95.
Just thousands
Yeah,
of
I just
times.
don't think they would have that. I just don't think that they would have had that amount of time or would have been up for everything. But for the most part, yeah.
But they didn't really do as much as you think they did. Like I don't think they did as much as you're like alluding to what they did. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they did that much. Like I would disagree.
You know
with the premise,
what's probably getting
they
me?
did so much.
What's probably getting me is that all the stuff that they went to was probably within a block.
Right.
Yeah,
You'd
exactly.
imagine you'd have to, and they did take the train, so I mean, quicker travel. That makes sense.
And we didn't have a timeline in terms of like what time it was when they got there, but the sun was up.
Mhm.
The movie was an hour and a half.
And they probably
So like they definitely could have done all that.
They were probably at the park at the end, probably at like 2 a.m. if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't some 8 p.m. like, oh yeah, let's cuddle here. No, that was probably like we're gonna snag a couple hours of sleep, get fucked up on this bottle, and call it a day.
Which leads me to another question I had for you guys. Do you think they got it on or not?
No, I don't think
feel
they
like-
had sex.
I don't know. I don't know if they did or not. Like they definitely talked back and forth on it for a while. And when that scene kind of started to cut out, she was getting on top of him. But I think the way that they talked about it made sense for them that they didn't.
And it was general
Like, you know what I mean? Like-
agreement, mutual just feelings towards it. Like the guys always don't want to get laid, but I think he was emotionally mature enough to understand where she was coming from.
Yeah, I know, but then
agree.
she kind of like led back into like because he was like, yeah, no, I get it. They're laughing like, oh, American wants to bang a French chick in Vienna or whatever, and you're going back to the States tomorrow. But he kind of agreed and got it, and they're just laying, and then she kind of brought it back up.
Yeah.
Like she brought it back up.
Yeah,
Like now
yeah.
I'm kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's get it on. I don't know if they did or not.
They probably hit a couple
I
bases.
thought that was a good part. I know. I don't
You
know.
know.
I wonder what his average is. He had to be.
Yeah,
I don't know. what
he
his
probably got
background
second
is,
base, maybe third.
We'll see. But that part, again, leaving it open ended.
I think what would have
Another
benefited
thing-
the movie at the end, just to like, if you took that same movie and brought it back into like 2025, I would have liked to seen a little end credit scene where the restaurant owner gets his money for that fucking wine bottle.
That guy's not getting that money. They stole that.
Yeah.
That's crazy too. That guy, like, I don't think that would happen very often. Maybe in another country, you have a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You probably can't even legally do that. But
No.
there's no
Yeah.
shot he sent that guy.
I'll send it
They
back
didn't
to
even
you.
exchange the address.
Right.
I think the guy just kind of like once he realized the magnitude of the situation of what was going on, he just said, "Fuck it, here's the bottle." Like
she's over there
what he
just
said,
stealing glasses and shit.
just yeah, like totally. There was nobody in that bar. It's like she's not being discreet. What he say? Like just have the best night of your life. I don't think he's expecting the coin.
Yeah, like cheers.
But,
cheers is the best night of your life. Something like
that. Yeah. Like okay, go get laid.
Well,
You know,
especially
or maybe he did.
The conversion rate of money. Like how much was that wine bottle? $5,
Yeah, that's
$10.
That's a good point. Yeah, I know, but to them, like that's good.
Yeah,
coin for them. Like he could have bought that. I don't know how they just were out of money.
Maybe they address that in the sequel where they come back in 6 months and.
Dude, if he pays that guy, that would
do
be.
We know?
Do
we know if it's the same actress? Do you know if it's Ethan Hawke and that chick again?
I will take a look right now to see. It is Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy again in Before Sunset.
Yep.
So it was the same.
And then what's
I did learn
Before Midnight is the third one.
Movies. Midnight Geese. There's another. It is Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. It is them again.
Love that.
So that movie's 95.
I'm excited.
Sunset was 2004. And then Midnight is 2013. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we know that these movies exist. But in that moment, if I was in 1995, like, that movie that came out a year before I was born. So,
wow.
this is an old movie.
Here's the thing. So, 1995.
If I watch that movie, dude. Go ahead.
1995 was the first one. The second one is 2020 or is 2004, and the third one is 2013.
Didn't I just fucking say that?
Did you?
You did just say that.
Literally, I'll look this up and say it, and then you just repeated it. But whatever. Now that we've got a firm grasp on that,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. Like 1995, bro. Like, yeah, the movie ending was cool for us, but it would not have been cool in 1995. I would have wanted to shoot myself or something because it just that's it.
Yeah, you don't get to see
it flowed well with the movie. The ending of the movie was good in terms of it fit the mold of what they did in that movie very well. Like,
and set out to do.
That was a day in the life. Serendipity.
Okay. Picture this, Brendan. Picture this. You're in 1985. You watch that movie. You watch that movie, right? You feel that exact way. Like, holy shit, that's dumb. Now I don't get to finish. And then boom, 2003 comes around. Coming in 2004.
I know. Yeah, but you're pumped. Yeah, but yes, I agree with that. But I'm not expecting 9 years later for us to jump back into this thing. Like, I'm hoping, hey, give it a year and a half, whatever it takes to film a movie. Maybe they were already filming it, or shooting it. They weren't, obviously. We know that now.
I don't think they were.
Like 9 years later, like, God, dude, I would be like, yeah, you're pumped.
Do we know if this is based off a book?
God forbid the next one.
Because that might give you some answers.
Yeah, that could help.
Knowing that there's more.
The fact that it was so long in between all three films, someone needed a paycheck. So I'm questioning the quality, regardless of reviews.
Knowing that Ethan Hawke's in a lot of different movies, I'm guessing it's the chick that needed the money.
Yeah, I don't recognize a ton of things she's in. I did look her up, but it was not based on a book. So whatever kind of drummed things up to bring this thing back twice, about 10 years apart every time is weird. I guess we'll be able to explore that. But I would probably agree with you. I will say this, just an overall general movie opinions that I have. If it's not like, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and it's like different names. In my opinion, typically they usually did go okay. So we'll see, but I think that based on knowing how far apart they were, it's not based on a book. Why do we keep bringing it back? The quality
how are they going to
go down?
Are they going to look? Are they going to look the same? Are they going to look like it was 6 months, or are they actually getting together in 9 years? Like, did they break their thing?
Yeah, do they randomly run into each other again? I will tell you.
Yeah, hopefully they play that better than. Hopefully they play that right, because there's definitely opportunity to fuck that up. Yeah. 9 years is a lot different than what they said in the movie about when they were going to meet back up. So
I think I'll be disappointed if it's not 6 months.
I would be too.
Right.
I will tell you this: the director that did these also did like Spy Kids, School of Rock, Bad News Bears.
Wow,
that's weird.
Expected that.
That is not. Yeah.
Bernie. So he has a few films with Jack Black. Quality films in my opinion, but He just kind of shows that that guy's got it.
Yeah, good movies, but totally different type of category than what
Oh,
we just
100%.
watched. So that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But yeah, I know. I think the next two, when we get to them, like I think there's going to be I'm predicting a little bit of a letdown because I did think this movie was good. I don't know. I don't know about 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess there's not. I don't. If I was to critique it, if I had any sort of knowledge of what I thought wasn't good, there wasn't really anything that stood out to me as done poorly because I think the movie was what it was. Yeah, what would be kind of the critiques that you guys have, if anything? Because I thought overall it flowed well. The movie was what it was, and they didn't have a whole lot to fuck up.
Right.
It was pretty.
I was trying. I was trying to nitpick a little bit, but when they were at the arcade at the pinball machine, she wasn't drinking that beer. And if you go back and watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But she
didn't see that.
She just puts the beer up to her lips, barely pours it down her throat, and then is immediately talking after. No pause to swallow, nothing. Just just playing with a bottle, acting with it is how I saw it.
You got to remember, these guys are acting in the middle of trying to play pinball. Remember your lines, and also drinking a beer. So I can only imagine that's probably in the back of her head, thinking of the lines.
Well, yeah, I noticed it. So
I didn't see her not drink the beer, but it's funny you bring up that scene because I wouldn't say it's necessarily a critique, but it was the same exact part of the movie that I wrote something down that I thought was weird. It was like how aggressive they were on the pinball machine, as well as the guys on the foosball table. Like they were just banging that thing, like full body, smacking the button, hip turns, shoulder movement. Like it was just way over the top for what I mean. Like if I'm playing pinball, like I feel like kind of leaning with the ball if it's like going to be close. But like they were just, I mean, like sporadic, just jerk, like
what they were
ripping
talking about during that scene with her, like talking to her therapist or whatever about a story about killing her ex-boyfriend. I was like, whoa, is this going to turn out to be true?
That's where I thought the movie was kind of turning because I thought he was always kind of the negative one, and then I thought maybe she was going to end up being the psycho.
Did you guys think that way the whole time? Of like, okay, something's got to happen. One of these people has a vice that's going to come out, and then it never did.
When he was talking about the girlfriend, I definitely thought he was still with her. I just thought there was going to be your stereotypical, here's the conflict, and then they resolve it by the end of the movie. And I guess the conflict was at a smaller scale than what I was expecting. But yeah, I was waiting for something to come out where it's like, oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you this. And it just ended up not being something big.
Yeah, another scene that kind of had that same vibe is when they're on that boat for the dinner, and she's basically just saying, like, hey, like, this ain't gonna work out, is it? Normally a dude's gonna be like, what? I totally think it's gonna work out. Why don't you think it is? You can come over. He kind of, like, played that off way better than anybody ever would.
I didn't have the thought that something was gonna, like, happen. I don't know, maybe, like, in the beginning, I kind of thought maybe there's gonna be some kind of twist, but I think just I went into it pretty, like, with zero expectation, and since it was old, I didn't really know what to expect. So I didn't really feel that the movie was setting us up for anything like crazy. Pretty straightforward. So I didn't really have that feeling of like a twist. I thought it just stayed pretty consistent all the way through. So I wasn't necessarily like pumped or let down by that. I don't know if that.
I just think it's today's movies that make us feel that way.
Right.
You know, like Geese and I were talking, like, where's the twist? Where's the twist? It's coming. Never did.
Right.
And it just goes
I don't know, but
that the movie was about genuine connection, genuine understanding, and just not hiding anything, just telling them exactly how it is up front, no games. It was just refreshing.
And that's kind of how people should be. Like, I was thinking about that to myself the whole time watching the movie. Like, that's how people should be with each other, even if it's the first time you meet it or not. It's a pretty good display of, like, openness and honesty.
Another part that I thought was cool was, I don't know if you guys picked up on this or not, you probably did, but the end, like towards the end when they were doing like the still shots of like everywhere they were that night, they just like went back to like the wine glasses and bottles on the ground and the grass and like the tables outside.
Yeah, that was
the
really
river
cool.
Where they ran into the poem guy. Like they just kind of did that still shots. Like they're not still shots because obviously like nature's happening or whatever.
Kind of like how the world keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah, they went back and revisited like from the jump of where they started.
Yep.
And then went through chronologically like everywhere they went before they kind of panned back to where they weren't going. So I thought that was kind of cool how they literally showed every single spot that they went to and there's like with that music playing, the old school movie, shots at each spot, and then kind of progressed towards the end there. But I did think that part was pretty cool.
I also like
Yeah,
the
it was a good
part
closing.
where the old lady is walking through the park that they were staying, and their wine glass is still there and everything with the bottle, where it's just a normal park, people going about their day walking through, and then their experience is kind of, hallmarked, and we know what happened there. She has no idea. It's just trash to her. But there's the moment is kind of, saved during that kind of sequence.
Right.
Yeah, like the pretty crazy night.
Yeah, I don't know.
guess.
I dug the movie. I didn't have much for expectations. I'd probably give it I don't know. I'd probably put it in the decent range. Yeah, it's a decent movie.
It's not gonna be on my Mount Rushmore of favorite movies of all time.
I think
But
I would recommend it to a girl movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was refreshing. It was a hour 40-minute runtime. It's solid movie for me. I put it it's just solid. I would recommend it to someone who was looking for something. Especially I would rewatch it with a girlfriend or significant other who's like feeling
Yep.
some romance movie. I definitely toss that on easy.
Yep.
I was gonna ask that too. Like, I agree with that point of. I think I'm not a guy who rewatches a ton of stuff. Like, if I were to rewatch, I don't know, like when I go to bed, if I put something on I haven't seen, it's gonna take me longer to go to sleep because I get engaged in it. So like, I'll throw something on that I've seen just so I don't have to pay much attention to it. I have rewatched things in the past, and I think that's a good kind of talking point to whether or not you would rewatch something. And I agree with like. Yeah, if your significant other wants to watch a movie, they haven't seen this, I would recommend it. Throw it on. Definitely an easy watch. I would never rewatch it in my own time, or like if somebody I knew was like, if they asked me about it, I'd say, yeah, it's a good watch. I wouldn't watch it with them. It wouldn't be a movie I would try to seek out to watch again, but I would. So I don't know where that ranks it for me, but
I'm with you. Wouldn't watch it by myself again, but I would watch it with a girlfriend, wife, whatever. That's where it's at.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it wouldn't be banned from throwing back on, but yeah, I agree. Overall, 100% Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how that works. I know you were kind of talking to me about this prior, but I don't know if that is true. But I think you could poke holes for 1% or 2. Like, I don't know if it's like, I think if you're gonna give something 100%.
I've seen better movies that have gotten 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. 100% seems kind of crazy for any movie, but I don't think there was anything glaring to me that would have made me not be like, yeah, it was just a good movie. I mean, a good movie. There was nothing that pointed out that would lose it, but overall, yeah, definitely would.
Give me a word to describe it.
One word from the boys.
I think I said decent. Geese said solid.
Okay. I would say quality.
Okay.
And like what I mean by that is like, I know it's the one word would be quality, but they did a lot without doing anything. You got a lot out of not much with what that movie was.
Agreed.
There wasn't a whole lot going on. There wasn't too many. There was literally like no other characters really involved. They didn't go many places. It was one day, one night, really, in the grand scheme of time. So like quality movie, you got a lot out of not much.
I'll kind of wrap us up in thinking that I think we all enjoyed it. I think we all think it was a good movie. Talked about the rewatch, different aspects of their acting and scenes and whatnot, and I don't know. It was a good first one to start on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from you, Geese?
Yeah, so I think that I would agree with you. It was quality, a very simple, refreshing, I think is a good word as well. It was, overall just easy watch. I got out of it, I think, what was intended, and really no qualms at the end of the day.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. Awesome. Well, good first chat, boys. I thought it went pretty well. Just for those of you that might be listening or tuning in, we'll be looking to get one of these once a week, jumping into movies from different genres, different I would say decades, I guess is the best way to put it. And from the 90s to the 80s to before up until today. We do want to go and see live action or I guess, movies that are in theaters at least once a month. keep things current the best we can in terms of moving forward here, but definitely diving into the most quote unquote, highly rated movies of all time, and breaking them down from an average perspective and understanding what we might get out of it and you might get out of it too. So we should be jumping back on and releasing another one the following week, but appreciate you guys joining us and look forward to the next one. Thanks for listening to Extra Butter.